Is that working? Can you hear me? Test. Okay. This is the chocolate waffle batter. We will make them later. I need to start drinking my PCAs and all that jazz, so I'll be sipping on that. And I will show you guys what I use, and I will edit this at a later point to show you. Okay. You want two different guys, one dry ingredients, one wet ingredients. So flush that out. This is my rice cooker that I always eat. After my waffles, I always have about 5 servings of rice. That was the cat. That's just what I enjoy. This makes 2 servings of this, by the way, and I'll put the macros in the video too. By the way, extend is awesome. Use it. Okay. So let's get our dry ingredients out. Stevia. Hershey's cocoa. Baking powder. Somewhere in here is cinnamon. Hershey's dark chocolate chips. Salt. I know that sounds gross, but with any good chocolate, you need salt. Old-fashioned Quaker Oats. You don't want to use quick, and you don't want to use instant. You want to use old-fashioned. .2% cottage cheese. I've tried 1% from Great Value, and they turned out awful, like really, really bad. They didn't cook properly. They didn't do anything properly. So this is Kraft 2%. You can try other things. You can go higher. I just like this because it's a lot less fat than the higher ones. Egg whites. I use Great Value's liquid eggs. They're delicious, lots of protein. I mean, you're essentially what you're doing is turning pancakes into a bodybuilding, or not pancakes, waffles, or you can make pancakes out of this too, waffles into a bodybuilding meal. And I mean, if you care at all about trying to figure out your calories and all that, buy a scale. This thing was $25 on Amazon. It's like the best purchase I've made from there. Period. So remember, this is 2 servings, which makes about 6 to 8 waffles, depending on how thick you make them. So, you know, cut this in half or a fourth, depending on how you want it to fit your macros. So we're going to use 200 grams of old-fashioned oats. Just going to throw in a little pinch. Also, you want some baking soda. We bought out the baking powder, but we also use soda. Or I always use soda also. You want to use 40 grams, and this is to taste. There's a lot of fiber in this, so that's kind of nice. But I mean, otherwise, it's just for taste. I use 40 grams though. I just cover the top of this with cinnamon, just lightly. That's always the right amount for me. You like more cinnamon, if you like less, if you like no cinnamon, you can completely null and void it. Vanilla extract, also an awesome thing to use. Personally, I don't use the vanilla extract though, because I also eat this with 2 cups of Greek vanilla yogurt. Lots of protein, really good for you. Again, this is very high in carbs, so if you're not a big carb guy and you're a carbophobe, this isn't a meal for you. This is high protein, high carbs, very low fat. There's, I think, like 30 grams of fat in the entire thing, the entire meal, which is 2,800 calories. So now I use 45 grams of dark Hershey's chocolate. That is because I am a fat ass. This is where most of the fat comes from, and a little bit from the oats. If you don't like chocolate chips, you can completely avoid them, or you can get some healthier ones. I just love the shit out of dark chocolate. Biggest thing about diet is adherence, and this lets me adhere to it. I look forward to lifting days just so I can eat these. And so. For stevia, the right amount for me is 10 grams, which is about 4 tablespoons. It's the equivalent to sugar, so in terms of the amount. So I just use 10 grams of this or less. I'm not a big. They don't need to be very sweet for me. This is just enough to get a little kick with all the other stuff that's inside of it. Salt to taste. I use quite a lot of chocolate and salt together. Plus, you got the oats in there. I use 6 grams of baking powder, which is about a teaspoon and a half, I'd say. And 3 grams of baking soda, which is about 3/4 of a teaspoon. So you have all your dry ingredients right here. You just want to give that a good stir. Make sure it's all nice and blended before you put in any of the liquid. And I always, I make this when I come home for lunch, and then I store it to make, after my workout. So it's nice and easy. I'll come home, I'll turn the oven on to 200 degrees, let that preheat, let my waffle iron get nice and hot. And the waffle iron that I have is double-sided. So you cook on one side, flip it, put one in, flip it again, and it cooks two at a time, and they're very thick. They're Belgian waffles. That was about $80 at Bed Bath & Beyond. We got it as we bought it as part of our wedding gifts, me and Jessica, and it's been awesome. When I did the Great Value 1% cottage cheese, it kind of ruined it because it spilled all over the place, didn't cook right, soured right away. It was just awful. So don't use 1%. This is what your dry mix will look like. Pretty much looks like Cocoa Pebbles, if you ever ate that. That's exactly what you want it to look like. Now we're going to do our wet ingredients. I like to use a spatula for this. It's just cleaner. With the cottage cheese, you're going to want to use, for this particular one, 488 grams or 2 cups. And if you're not a fan of cottage cheese, you won't taste this. It gives it a nice thicker texture, but you won't taste it. I mean, we're going to cook the shit out of it. You'll see that a little bit later, and it's delicious. Also, you saw me use the vanilla Greek yogurt. I also use sugar-free, log cabin sugar-free syrup. I have like 6 of these in there. There's sugar alcohol in there, so that's probably not the best thing for you, but fuck it. I mean, I'm healthy as 80% healthy, 20% I get to eat stuff like this, and yeah. Make sure we get all our cottage cheese. And for your egg white, you're going to use half a carton, or I think it ends up being 2 cups, just like the cottage cheese. For this particular one, it's 460 grams. You always want to give it a little bit of a stir or shake.